canyons, there are canyons, they are yawning in time. They are like cats that are anchor, they are all airline. They are deer flying fishing, they are apathy and pride. They are dogs. We will tell them building bridges and be off and on our way. Thank you, Bill Staines, for allowing us to use that song on Bridges, Our Entryway. We had a little rough start, but now we're back on Hangouts. We're on Blog Talk. We're on a couple of other little venues. You can reach us on the phone if you want, or through Skype, or your phone number at 347-215-6731. The other thing we have open is a chat room called Bridge to Humanity on Blog Talk. And you can also reach us through Hangouts, Google Hangouts. We did that one. So we're pretty much out there. I'm just, if you want to call in, you're welcome to do that. We have a guest tonight, and I found him very interesting because this program is always brought to you by the Human Renewable Energy Measure, which we don't sell anything. We don't want you to join anything. We just want you to think. And we need basic value for make sure all humanity has their basic needs met. And we think we have found a number for that through physics. But there's other ways of looking at things. So, by the way, Susan Comont and Jim Bell is with us. Susan, are you there? Okay, and unfortunately, if you're looking at me, I'm using no microphone here. I'm using my cell phone to do this program because for some reason or other, the other system blanked out. So I'm listening to this through the phone. So, and this, by the way, anyone can do programming with us if they choose to. And all you need is a computer and a phone, and you can do your programming too. And we're open to all humanitarian thinking. So, okay, you're on, James Bell, and please tell us what your website is and what your philosophy is, and then we'll take it from there.
It's just jimbell.com. And my email is jimbell, ELSI@hotmail.com. So, using either one of those, you can find everything else about me. My philosophy is basically that we're all kind of asleep, and I was asleep most of my life, and within my late 20s, early 30s, I finally realized that I had never really had an original thought in my whole life. It all had just been things that have been kind of put into me through the educational system, or friends, or parents, or other ways. And so I began to try to look, and of course, when you go on that track, then you start looking at, well, what's the meaning of life, and why am I here, and all that sort of stuff. So all that was rattling around in there, and I didn't figure it out right away, but maybe about 3 years of that, I realized, hey, the human family is destroying its own life support system, and I'm part of it. I'm not like a big polluter. I'm not a big mover of bulldozers and things like that, but you can definitely see it. all around, and it seems to be getting worse and worse. And so I was right away, like, well, who's written the answer? How can we figure out how to treat the sewage, how to get the food, how to get water, how to do pretty much everything we want and need, but in ways that are, I probably wouldn't have said it at the time, that are life support sustaining or life support system sustaining. But I found out nobody was really touching that, and it's still the truth today. I mean, you with your work are kind of touching it, but you're touching it peripherally, and I'm just going, well, wait a minute, somebody's got to ask questions like, where are you going to get the energy, where are you going to get the water, where are you going to get the food, what does the economy work so poorly in terms of most of us, and just basically dealing with those concepts. And I began to write, basically, okay, how do we figure this out? I mean, like one of the things I talked about, real contemporary today, this came out in 1994, was about global warming. And I said, hey, look, this book, and this is my first book, which is on my website, it's Jim's first book, still pretty relevant, you could, basically look at that whole thing and
Well, let me see. Let me interrupt a minute. One of the problems that and you sound like the groups that we've worked with over the years, and you're right. Who's doing the best work in all these individual areas? The key word there you used was work, and someone's getting paid for it. And the problem we are finding out, most people who are who you see published through the colleges. We had a guy on our program who did. It's called the Oddvalk. I just went blank on his name, but his name is Lawrence Whitner, and he wrote a book called The Oddvalk, and he's saying that most of the colleges in the past 15, 20 years have been taken over by the corporations, and they can't really teach the way they like to teach because they'll get fired. I mean, this is a problem. And so when we look to see what is the best technologies out there and what is going on, like as you said, when you didn't have an original thought, because the media, your parents, schools put things into your mind that, there was sort of a technique to say, wait a second, you got to work, you got to do it, you got to do the system's way. And what you're saying is the economic system's terrible, something's very wrong with it. And you're saying we are killing our planet because of the way we're behaving, or our lifestyle. And we have to get to that point. And I want to get. Okay, so I'm saying to you that we need to get to where you and I and probably a good portion of this planet wants to get to. However, what's stopping this, I believe, is strictly the economic system. Now, I won't get into that now, but I want you to see that when we specifically try to simplify this so people can understand it. And I do this daily with people, with strangers all day long. And we recording. I've been recording a lot of these things. It's very interesting to see how what you're saying is great stuff, and I agree with every bit of it. But I think the problem we're running into, and I don't know if you see this or not, is strictly if we had a different economic system, most of these problems would be solved. I'm just suggesting that. I'm not. Yeah, but see, oh, hold on. I got. I don't mean to interrupt. But I do mean to interrupt, because the minute you say money and value, that is totally subjective. Whether it. Oh, okay, okay. Well, see, I didn't want it. Okay, go ahead. That's well. See, this is the point. Where do you start? How do you start? The reason why we're polluting and the reason why we're killing people and the reason why we're doing all this is to make money. Is because there's no the word value you use and hire somebody. At what point in time do we know what to pay somebody? How do I know what I am worth or you are worth in any and then how do I know how much I have to if I pollute and I'm going to be penalized for polluting and I'm a big corp, all I'm going to do is pass that cost for polluting right down to the consumer again, and there's no value at all. Well, how about my oil, my uranium, my nuclear power? I mean, all these things you have, and they're forced down your throat. You can't not. I mean, you can't not get away from it. Go ahead. Okay, who? Wait. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Right. Okay. By the way, I much rather have someone work for me to get to help them survive if they really believe in what they're doing. Because Pasteur or like Pasteur wouldn't take money. He wouldn't patent his cure for polio. You couldn't pay him to do what he did. You couldn't pay Tesla to do what he did. You couldn't pay Einstein to do what they did. They do it because they love what they do, and that's what I consider work. And the mundane thing that people try to do to stay alive is killing this planet. And then we go ahead and we work into the economic. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No. Hold it. I'm I'm looking for a cure. I'm not looking to get angry. I'm looking to say to you, you're right. I'm agreeing with every single thing I read your website. I read a lot of your stuff. I believe everything you say. I am in agreement with. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm in agreement with what you're saying. I love the concept we're on a spaceship, and you don't have to go to another planet. We're on a planet. We're on a different planet. We're in a spaceship, and I agree with all of your analogies. However, the frustration I run into is just like you said in the beginning of your when you opened up, you say we didn't have an original thoughts of our own because we've been schooled in such a way that we believe in the system. And as long as we understand that the system, it can never work to benefit humanity because of the very fundamental nature of the economic system, because it doesn't take into account humanity, and it doesn't have an objective number within all human beings can be measured by solar energy and solar. When I say solar, I mean units of energy measurement that cannot be manipulated. And what I'm saying, I think we can get there very simply by just saying all humanity has to have their basic needs met. And if you pollute the planet, your energy costs are going to be, we can measure the damage you do. You can't measure the damage I do with that styrofoam cup without having a start point. Okay, tell me how. Go ahead. What is that called? No, but okay, now, okay, no. I have to question this because the cost is totally subjective. The cost is based on my hours of my labor. That's the true cost, not the money. It's if I'm making $1 million an hour, I don't care what the cost is. Well, I can tell you one thing: the people who are polluting this world have jobs like that. I think at ExxonMobil, the CEO makes what, $25 million or $750 million a year. That's what this guy makes. And there are a lot of people like that, and they don't give a damn how much they pollute as long as their stockholders are happy, and they continue and they can pollute all they want. And if we find them for go ahead. But most people, but Jim, most people don't see that. Most people don't understand. Most people. I'm saying, go ahead. Okay, so supposing we're all okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, just the op. Okay. You're going. No, I didn't say. I never said things will cost more. I'm not saying that at all. A matter of fact, I'm suggesting that if you put a basic measure on something, and you get away from minimum wages and living wages to two living wages, and you absolutely and you have everybody have their basic needs met within 1 hour of their working life, the actual deflation will take effect, and nothing. Then you sort of move the profit motive almost out of the system, so people would never want to pollute because they know better. And if you tell me people don't understand about pollution, I disagree with that. I think most people do understand about pollution, but they can't do anything about it. Go ahead. That's right. Well, you have bad air. That's good. That gives you asthma. You're polluting the seas. You're killing the wildlife. Certainly, it's all there, but it's there because the economic system dictates profit and not humanity, that's what it dictates. How do you change that? I'm not against that either. I'm saying that. How? Go ahead. I agree with you. I agree with you. When we get back from the break, we're going to go through. I want to know how we get there, and you can explain that if you want. We're going to take a little break, and this is called Hot Dog Heaven by Alien Folklife. It's about a 4-minute break, and if you want to call in during the program, the phone number here to call in is 347-215-6731. You must push the one button. Otherwise, I can't get you on the air. So there's about 5 people listening on the program, but I need you to push the one button. So if you want to talk, the other thing is the chat room is open. Bridge to Humanity on Blog Talk. We're on Google Hangouts now. We're talking to Jim Bell, and Jim Bell. Was that jimbell.org? Is that what that is? I'm sorry, Jim. .com. Sorry. Okay, jimbell.com. We'll be right back in 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Welcome back. This is Bridges Programming. This is Friday evening. Bridges Programming is on its own on this. We have Jim Bell with us from jimbell.com, and he does some great thinking. I love his thinking process. But I always have I'm always looking for a way to solve it, and he seems to have found a way, and I want to and I just want to go back to Jim and see where I want to know how we get there. And you said you've got that sort of figured out using the existing economic system is what you're saying, right? Okay, go ahead. I'll read the whole instruction booklet before I start putting it together. Go ahead. You see, I'm saying to you that you're right in almost everything you're suggesting. My problem is I believe you have to shed light on these things, and we have to enlighten. People have to enlighten themselves. But in this system, how do we? Okay, let me try to explain it differently. There's a group out there called the Venus Project with Jacques Fresco, and it's basically a resource-based economy. He's saying get rid of money altogether, and we just figure out the natural resources. We have machines build machines. We get rid of the tedious, boring stuff, and human beings don't have to work, but they are meant to work. Human beings, if you do artwork, I'm sorry to say, or I'm very happy to say that is, it makes my mind feel better when I see a piece of work that I appreciate. I listen to music. It makes my life better because of the music. That is work. It is the only problem with that is in this work, in this economic system now, the value system has no basis for anything that you and I are talking about. There's measurements for everything in this world. But when you say value, value is totally subjective. It has no ramification. Go ahead. I'll let you can interrupt me. Go ahead. Whoa, wait, that's exactly my point. There's certain things we need. We need a certain amount of food and water a year, and that's measured in actual energy units. You need 2 million calories of water and food a year. You can call it reverse osmosis. It doesn't matter how you get it, but it's going to take you about a million energy units, whatever energy units you want to use to get that water, and another million energy units from the sun to produce your food. If you have shelter, basic shelter, you can measure that in energy units. Education is the prime thing to know which food and shelter to have, and also to understand when you're educated what's going to happen to the planet with pollution and population. But that's education, and that's what you actually said. You're saying we have to sort of get people to understand about 2 children per person per year or per lifetime, and then you say there are certain people who don't want to have children, so therefore you'll have a reduction in population by a certain given period of time. Again, you're using measurements. I'm saying to you, we all live about 80. Well, let me finish what I was. My turn. You know, I don't know if you remember V. Did you ever see the movie V? Well, V for Vendetta is a great piece of science fiction. It was based after a graphic novel. Susan, are you there? Okay, good. Anyway, he says at the end of the movie, it's my turn. But what I'm saying is that education is the primary thing. There's measurements for these things. We know we live about 80 years of life in today's market with the proper food, the proper medical conditions. We can do 80 years. It's some will live 60, some will live 100, but basically 80 years is a good number for science, close enough. And then you know you need a certain amount of energy units, and then you need education. So we're saying if you have those basic needs met, and they can be measured in energy units which cannot be manipulated, you can then, with a computer, correlate what the currency would be. Now, it seems more complicated than that, but if I'm making $1 million in currency a year, or a day, or a minute, tell me how much I should put back to make sure all basic needs are met, and we don't pollute and the cost of cleaning up the mess. How do you judge that without a unit that can't be manipulated? The problems we're running into is the pollution comes from people who want to make money at any cost. As long as they're making money and the stockholders are willing to hold, for instance, ExxonMobil wants the stockholders from ExxonMobil most of the time want to make the most they possibly can. And as long as, no matter what they do, as long as that stockholder is making money, that CEO is going to make a fortune. And he's making money. He doesn't need that money. That's that, and it's only money. What's really important to somebody is, like you said earlier, when you're hungry, you better eat, otherwise you're going to starve to death. You better have to. You must go to the bathroom, or you will die. You must have certain physical things met, and those things are measurable. However, if you decide to want a black cup that costs you more in time, not money, but time, to manufacture a black cup that happens to be biodegradable. But I have a red cup that's also biodegradable, but I like my red cup better. How many hours more are you willing to work for your black cup compared to me wanting to work for my red cup? That's subjective. And if you think your life is going to be better having a huge TV set, and taking out the cost of polluting with that TV set, or polluting with, that's subjective stuff. The needs can be measured, and then you let the free market take effect to the wants. Now watch what happens with this deal. I got about 3 minutes, and then we're going to take a little break, and I'll get to that. The next break will be with the Foothills Trio with We the People. But watch what happens. If we could put in the language like gravity was put in the language, it was obvious. What I'm saying to you is very obvious. We all need education, food, and shelter within a minimal amount of our lifetime. Because we work 16 hours a day to get that minimum needs met, we are called slavery. And that's why people rebel. Now, I'm suggesting that we know if we measure all the things in this planet very simply for a very small amount of thinking, we could get basic needs met. I'm not saying anything fancy, basic needs met for about 5% of a day's working life. That gives you 21 more hours to figure out what you want to do. You can sleep a few of those hours if you want. You can work the rest of the 21 hours if you choose. But once you have that basic needs met in a minimal amount of time, therefore, I go and I work my 1 hour and I want to buy a car. Car dropped down because there's no more minimum wage. You don't need a minimum wage. A minimum wage creates inflation. You don't need welfare because all basic needs are met worldwide because we put the measurement, we've accepted the measurement just like gravity. Once you put that measurement into the vocabulary, individuals, countries, states, towns, they will then decide to make sure all basic needs are met. For instance, you're suggesting we need water in California. Well, we don't bring money into California to get that water. We bring in the product from around the world. The best minds in the world bring in the machinery to do it. In Africa, we do the same thing. Just because and you can't do it on a one state or a one county basis. You have to first accept that all needs must be met, no matter who you are or where you are. That's where I'm coming from. You see, But the problem is you can have a proving ground in California, just like we have a proving ground for lots of things. And the media is controlled by the economic system. And if it's controlled by the economic system, your proving system won't work one bit because they're gonna turn those words around to make it. Look, how many scientists have believed that there's global warming? There's only about 5, some in Berkeley and some in Cornell University, who are paid by the oil companies to say that global warming is a joke. And those 5 have a voice because they control NPR, they control Fox News, they control all the main media. So you've got a problem here. It's the economic problem. We'll be back right after this. We all have to come together, and this is where we, the people, come in, and we'll go. I want to go back to where the economic system started. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Bridges Programming. This is Friday evening, 7 to 9. My name is Jeff Bella, Susan Comont on the other microphone. We have with us Jim Bell from jimbell.com, and he's got really great ideas, and I think his ideas are very valid. And go ahead, Sue, you got it. Go ahead. No, no. What are you going? What are you going to? Exactly, exactly. Hold on. I don't know if I don't know. I know if I'm on a mic or not. But here's the. Let me just make sure. Here's the deal. We said the. Okay, we're saying the exact same things. We're saying, okay, we know all the horrible things that are going on in the world. What's creating these horrible things? And I'm saying to you that what's controlling the political system, what's controlling when I wake up in the morning because I buy a bottle of something, or I buy a new car, or I buy something that I think that I want, that's my subjective wants, not my needs, my wants. I'm killing somebody somewhere on this planet. I'm poisoning the planet because of what I do. And I don't want to do that, but it's really difficult for me to not do that, even though I try to go to the food co-ops. I try to do the things that are best, but I know that that's not the answer. It made me feel better that I'm trying to do something. It makes me feel better if I'm recycling. It makes me feel better. So I'm just trying to say that when we looked at this problem, we're saying what is controlling. First, we said it was a political problem. We need renewable energy. So why isn't renewable energy happening now? It's obvious. We need an energy source that doesn't require payback. Nature gives us that source through solar. It's not solar energy, but the sun is the best nuclear power plant we have, and that's where it should stay. It creates the wind, it creates the tidal waves, it creates, you name it, the sun does it. So that's our energy source. Now, go ahead, I want to just finish it. What's stopping us from doing this? This is a no-brainer. This is obvious. We know we need our food. We know we need our shelter. We know we need education. The more education we have, the better the society will be. And that'll solve your population problem, by the way. And we also know we shouldn't have to work hard more than an hour a day for basic needs met. That's what we know. These are measurable things. And those are not subjective. Those are objectives. And once you put an objective number on something, like every measurement we have, Jim, is based on like the sun coming up. We know the sun doesn't come up, but we agree that every day when the sun appears to come up, we call it a day. 365 days a year, even where this place the sun doesn't come up. We've agreed that that's our measurement. Gravity created surface on the planet. So you take surface. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, hold it. No, that's the reason. No, you got to let me get in there, because They're up in the sky because our education, your education and my education, says, okay, you don't have to worry about a measurement because we just have to get there. We have to enlighten ourselves in such a way that all humanity will stop polluting, stop having children to overpopulate the planet, and help our natural resources. That's all good. That to me is pie in the sky, because without a measure, you can't tell me how to go from where we are to there. Look, if I put, go ahead. No, you did not. No, you did not. You okay? Whoa. Okay. Let's stop at that point. Let's have leadership. I would love to see someone like Bernie Sanders get in, but he doesn't really have the answers. Look, we voted for the last 200. This country was started by about 12 or 15 fat old men who were very wealthy. They had a great idea, but they didn't want women to vote, black people to vote, and they did not want anybody without owning property to vote. That's how this country was started, baby. And the economic system started when civilization started, when you had the first king. And you said to the king, we have abundance because of our mind. We developed plows. We developed things that gives us abundance in food. And then we hired a king. We gave him an army, right? And then when we had a drought and people were dying, the armies came and said, now you're my slave. I want the food. I don't care what you do. So that's how our economic system, I'm simplifying this quite a bit. But I'm trying to say that the problems within the economic system, and we are so schooled to be, we can't see the problem because it's like the elephant in the room. I'm suggesting to you that you're right about everything you want to do, but if you don't put a measurement on it, like gravity's been around forever, but only 400 years ago, Newton named it. He went ahead and put some measurements on it. We call it Newton's law. And because of that simple idea, we know what impact is, we know what velocity is. Someone took an obvious thing and put a name on it. I'm suggesting there's a missing name for what we are talking about. And it's a simple measure. Human beings require a measure that they agree upon all over the world. You've told me what you wanted to do, but you're not telling me how to get there. Go ahead. What is true cost? You can't tell me that because you don't know what the pricing should be. It's not based on anything. What? How much is it? What's it based on? What's it based on? Well, no, but what is it based on? What are you basing it on? What is the number you're saying? Give me a number. Okay, but who? Granted. Right, I'm aware of that. And so we're trying to put it, so, because of a road, it was because, but you can't quantify that in dollars, can you? Okay, do it. Tell me how much of my labor do I have to work in dollars? How much of my labor do I have to work in currency, any currency in the world, to get that soil back? Right. Because you can't quantify it. And if you could quantify, if you can't quantify it. Look, I'm trying to, okay, so I'm gonna charge everybody $100,000 to buy meat tomorrow. So no, how are you going to add it to the cost? Tell me how you want to add it to the cost, because if you add it to the cost, then the poor people can't afford it. The rich people, don't matter what you do for that cost, they can afford anything you want to put out there. Now tell me how you're going to compensate for that. No, I'm telling you, the rich people, and I can show you this in every county in the United States. There's always like a health food store, or there's always something in San Diego or the wealthy parts of the world here that they have great schools, they have good health food stores, they have cell phones, they have people pushing carts. I see old people pushing carts in parts of Florida where young guys are on their phone and they got a kid in one of these push things. The wealthy treat people like crap in this country and all over the world. And you can't add costs to this without taking into account humanity. And you got to measure human beings. You can't do this with cost. Go ahead. We're not, no, we're not. I'm sorry, you're not greedy. You are what you are. And this is very important word because we get this. We did about 47, as a matter of fact, close to 50 programs on this about the word greed. The reason why we're greedy, I can tell you for a fact, I'm sure you have some kind of a computer in your house. I'm sure you have lots of things. You live in an area that's sort of affluent. If I'm not mistaken, it's a basically good area. Now I compare you and me, and I'm taking myself into this, to someone living in, let's say, the ghetto of Albany. Now, am I greedy because I want a good quality of life, or the guy? No, well, hold it. Before you tell me what's fair, you better be able to define the word fair. Because if you don't define the word fair, you can't get there from here. I heard Obama the other day say, we have to do what's fair. And in the same speech, he said, we have to compete to be the best so we can win. If you have a winner, you have a loser. And therefore, you got to win. No, what we have to do is we have to not compete. We have to cooperate. Number one. Number two, we have to say, how do you gain fairness? I have no problem with a CEO of a company making a small fortune, or a genius who plays great music, and I want to listen to make as much as they can possibly make. However, if I'm allowing them to kill another human being, or poison my soil, poison my water, or poison my air, that is not acceptable. So how do we measure that? How do we measure that? You know, you told you. How much do I want to pay? How much do I want to pay? How much do I want to pay this group who's going to be almighty and tell us who's got? Look, I went to a meeting last night called Solarize the county we're in, and these guys sat down under a table thinking they're really hot crap, and they're evaluating all the solar manufacturers in the area and the solar installers. They got to this on such a subjective level, it was almost funny to watch them. Now, I'm not telling you they didn't try. They were serious. They weren't getting paid for this, but they couldn't get enough information. It became subjective. We need to have a base measure to get to where you want to go. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you don't have a way of getting there to say, this is what we have to put back. Make your $10 million an hour. You're not giving me that number. Okay. Well, it's only complicated. Look, it's only complicated because of way there's a program called Belief Magic he was just he came on. He's on Saturday mornings. He wrote a book called Susan. What was the name of that? Yeah, Paul Marker wrote a book called Belief Magic. He's a psychiatrist, and he worked for the big corporations for a while. And he woke up one day and said, "What am I doing?" And the problem is that our belief system, most around the world, the economic system is nothing more than a belief system. It's stronger than any religious system you've got. Everybody in the world is working to make money on money, not to put back. And I can tell you a little story. I hear people tell me, if you raise the minimum wage, you're going to create inflation, which is true. Or if you print too much money, you're going to create inflation, which is true. But if you have a stock and people are making money on money and you're putting nothing back into the economy, you have just created a mammoth inflation. So the key here is to understand that the economic system has no value. It's a belief system that is negative toward humanity. However, if you can put a value, a physical value, just like gravity has measurements to it, the sun coming up has measurements to it. There's measurements to these things, so we can understand it as a species. Our species is unique. I don't think we've scratched the surface of how great this species could be. If we can put a measure that all human beings have to have their basic needs met, no matter what, then you've changed the whole world and then you can do exactly what you want to do, because you can't get there from where you are without having a measure, an actual point of measure. And it's got to be a measurement, not for money or for the economics, within the economic system the way it is now. It has to be very economical. It has to be efficient. And we can do that. But right now, the economic system is wasteful. It's how much can we keep turning over? Planned obsolescence, a new computer next month or next year, another car that's going to fall apart. We keep on doing this crap. We got to stop it. But go ahead. But who creates the price? Who creates you didn't answer my question. You said two-cost pricing. Who creates the price? Who decides the actual cost? No, you can't just say that. Who decided the actual cost? How do you get to the actual cost? You keep on going to the actual cost. What is the actual cost? Go ahead. How much is it? No, you said it's different for every situation. I'm saying, how much is it? They can't. No, we don't know that. We know that it's damaging to our health. The cost is made up. No, I'm sorry. The cost for damage, the cost, Jim, is damaging to our health. Now, the cost, if you want to put it into a currency, you can do that. But the fact of the matter is, that's subjective. So you're going to inflate. But the thing is, you don't have a basic. When you tell me a cost, you have no way to measure that cost. I want, but okay. So supposing the cost, okay. Watch this. I'm going to go to the doctor, and it's going to cost me $1 million. The cost to that, to the government or who's ever taking care of my cost is $1 million. How much is the dollar worth? No, how much is a dollar worth, period? How much is a dollar worth? A penny worth? I'm going to tell you what it's worth. A currency is a tool. A currency is a tool. I'm going to tell, okay, the worth of a currency has only the value for which you could use it as a tool. The true value for a human being is their life, their amount of food, and this is energy units. Life is measured in time. Food and water is measured in an energy unit that cannot be changed, by the way, and has to remain constant. And your shelter is I'm sorry, you're gonna go ahead. Oh, okay, hold it with that thought. I'm going to come back right after this. And when you said many ways, this is somebody else who says we got to do things. Listen, her name is Kim Warlock, and she did. We all eat French fries. Hold on 1 second. Back in 30 seconds. In 2 minutes. Welcome back to Bridges Programming. That was Kim Warlock, and she's got her own way to try to fix life. And we all have our own thoughts, and I think each one should do what they got to do. And I think it's a good thing as long as you're thinking. And that's one of the. Now I want to get back to I want to get back to this subjective and objective thinking that it's very hard to see. And I realize you think it's more complicated, but I'm trying to simplify it. And I'm saying that all basic needs must be met, and they can be measured in objective numbers and energy numbers that cannot be manipulated. So therefore, a dollar has no value whatsoever unless you believe it has the value. If you believe gold has a value, you want to believe into it, that's subjective. How much is your gold worth? That's subjective. How many hours of your life are you willing to work for it? That is no longer subjective. There you're putting your life on the line to work for it. So I'm saying to you that the things we need, like food, shelter, in some cases medical care, education is imperative, the primary, and you only have a lifespan. Those basic 4 items have to be met first, and that must go into a vocabulary so we can get to where we want to be. And I want to be the same place you want to be. And Jacques Fresco, with the resource-based economy, he wants to be the same place as we want to be. There is no one I know who doesn't want to get to where we want to a planet that is not polluted, that has a good quality of life for all humanity without hurting anybody. We all want that. But it's obvious we all want that. But the question is, we don't know how to get there. And we can't just wait, I don't believe, for everybody to become enlightened or become, you got this. So we have to bring it to where the problem lies. And I believe the problem lies with the economic system. And I don't believe you can get leaders, because the leaders right now, the leaders are controlling the media. It's costing over $1 billion to run for office in this country this year. $1 billion. Now, I can't even conceive what $1 billion looks like. And so why are we and if once you get a leader in there, do you think the leader is any smarter than Jim Bell? I think Jim Bell would be just as fine a leader as anybody else we get in there. I mean, but the reason why it won't happen is you don't have the money to get there. And the reason why, if you had $100 billion, you could probably run a good campaign in this country right now. So, and by the way, how many mechanics do you know that would make great doctors, better than most of the doctors that I know? I mean, some of them are good, but most of them suck. So I know mechanics that are great diagnosticians. They'd be great doctors, but they can't go to school. They can't afford it. So you're missing out on doctors. Engineers, people would make great engineers, but they can't get the diploma because they can't afford school. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And we tried to help. Our system went into Africa to help them get water. They had water. What they did is they corporatized the water wells there, and only the rich people now have water pumped into their house. The poor wells are now closed. They have to walk 20 miles to get water. I'm sorry. The economic system is controlling everything. And if you step far enough back, you got to say to yourself, it's the economic system that's the problem. It has nothing to do with the rest of us. We all understand the basic needs, man. There's not a personal allowance. I did a talk the other day in a college, and one of the kids said, you're not saying anything different. We all know about basic needs met. What you're saying to me, it's not the politics' fault. It's not the politicians' fault. It's the economic system. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay, wait a second. Hold. I want to interrupt you again. I'm sorry. We're running out of time, and I want to get this out. I actually ran for office in this country I actually ran for office against somebody for the United States Senate, and her name was Hillary Clinton and Rudy Giuliani. I was with the Independent Party. Jesse Ventura's people handled my campaign, and my whole issue was renewable energy. And when I debated Hillary in Buffalo, New York, she said to me, you're a one-issue candidate. And I said, but my one issue touches everything you're talking about. However, when I go into the media, when they ask the first question I'm asked, I went to probably 40 different, there was 40 counties here. And I went to 40 NPR stations. I went to several conservative stations. And they said, the first question they asked, where are you getting your money from? Not what you're running for. Where are you getting your money from? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Well, go ahead. No, we actually. But you still believe that it's going to come from the top down, from the king down to the people. That's how your thinking process is. And if you think you're going to do it If you listen to Al Gore said when he became congressman, pardon me, when he became Congress, he thought, well, I'll get my word out, I'll get the message out. And he did, and people, they went glassy-eyed at him when he spoke. And then he said, when I'm vice president, I'm glassy-eyed. Now, Susan and I, we had a robot, and a 7-foot-tall robot that was in Washington. It's been all over the country. And we met, and the robot and Susan and I met Al Gore. And Al Gore said something that almost brought tears to my eyes. He said, when I thought I was going to do all these things, I was, I'm vice president of the United States. I mean, I thought I could get this to happen. There was so much, it was so bad. He realized how bad it was. The way he said we do this is one person at a time. And the reason why he couldn't do that is because the economic system was stopping him. The reason why you don't have renewable energy or the best technology, there's technology out there, that's no doubt in my mind, that would give fresh water to everybody in the whole world, not just California. But the technology is being stifled because the economic system is stopping it. There is no reason in this world to have poverty in this world. There's enough food for every human being in the world tenfold, but they can't get it because they don't have the money to transport it to those places. People don't die of starvation because of lack of food. It's because of lack of distribution of that food. I mean, there's just so many things that are so screwed up. But it, and those methods are controlled by those methods are controlled by the economic system. They didn't. When you say through price, you're talking about the basic economic system is controlled. The price is irrelevant. He's right on. Of course. How are you going to change it? How do you expect to change it unless you go after the jugular vein? The problem is the systemic economic system has been wrong for 8,000 years. This country was built on an economic system by people who did not want freedom. They wanted to control the bricks. The reason why you put the 13 colonies together was control of the population and control of the economics. When the kings got together, maybe 8,000, I don't know, 10,000 years ago, I have no idea. But when the kings ruled the economic system, and then they said, let's not fight amongst ourselves, let's control the economic system. And so, therefore, you had something called the United Kingdom. Now it's worldwide, not just England. But the United Kingdom was kings came together to control the whole game. And they're doing it today. We're under the illusion. It's an illusion that if you vote for somebody left or right or in the middle, never mind, that you are doing something. You're under the illusion that's going to be better. Unless you change the basic fundamentals of the economic system and base it on humanity and physical things, physics, like every other measurement in the world is based on, you'll be chasing your tail forever. And we'll be going on a person, death after life, and we'll do the same old. Go ahead. Sorry. Yes, but the problem is some big company is going to buy it up. Some big company will buy that up, and you won't be able to get it on the open market. I've patented 15 items I'm sorry, 5 items in my lifetime and tried to patent 10 more. The problem is I don't want a patent. I want to give a product out so people to use. The patents, and no, if somebody comes up with a great idea and they want and they think they can make money with it, in most cases, a company will either buy them up or take over the patent through the rule of law, they call it. And the rule of law has no. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, the thing is, I'm agreeing with everything you said. No, I'm just saying that the only thing you're missing, the only thing I see you're missing is a way of getting there. And I'm agreeing with. I want to see that happen. I want you. I would tomorrow. Hey, I'd vote for you tomorrow. But that. By the way, and you know, hold it. Did you know how that happened? You know how that happened? I had the pleasure, or Susan and I both had the pleasure of meeting Hermit. Susan, who was that guy? Yes, we met him in Washington when he gave his speech, and I said, "How did you get this to happen?" And his friend was with him, and he, by the way, he died about 3 years ago. He said it was a mistake. They screwed up. I said, "What do you mean?" He said they were trying to win over the Green Party vote, so they put out a renewable energy platform, and the whole country fell for it. And this guy was a phenomenal guy because he put some wind generators up too. And I said, you don't have very much wind over there. What are you doing that for? So every little teeny bit we can get not to use a fossil fuel, we're going to do. He was a great guy. You're right. Germany's great, but he said it was a mistake because. Go ahead. Okay. Okay. Oh, I want to give you a number that you may enjoy. For every dollar or yen or ruble or your labor of hours of labor, for every time you for every dollar you put in your, for every time you save, use renewable energy, for every dollar you save, it generates in your community 14 times. For every dollar you take out of your community, conversely, you lose 14 times that. So if you get nature, no, this is U.S. Commerce Department. This is U.S. Commerce Department's. This is. No, wait, this is U.S. Commerce Department's figures. These are not mine. And the other thing is, for every $1 billion dollars or ruble, for every dollars or rubles or currency you put into a system, it generates $20,000 jobs at $50,000 a year. That's what a billion whatever does, if you want to divide that out. Well, I got it from U.S. Commerce Department probably 15 years ago. It hasn't changed since. That's a number that doesn't change. These numbers are based on physical things. They're just there. But the point I'm making is that we want to get to where your I don't know if your papers say, the paper we read that you sent us, I agreed with, we sat there and said, this is great stuff. You're right on target. This is a planet. When people say we have to go to outer space when we pollute this planet, no, we're in outer space already. I agree with you there, baby. We're there. The question is, how do I get so you or someone else can become a leader when the economic system is totally controlling the political system and the media? You can't talk about what you're talking about on general. You can't. Go ahead. Oh, see, but I don't believe you're going to ever see. I think that that you can get. No, whoa. I'm saying if you plant enough seeds, yes, something will grow. I'm saying to you that before you can get even if you plant the right seeds, that the economic system will put kerosene on those seeds until you go to the basic problem. The basic problem happens to be the economic system itself. And we're saying if you use, but the thing, whenever you say to me true cross pricing, I'm going to ask you, who controls the price? How much should I pay? But there can never be an argument. You can never argue about the actual energy cost of a human being's needs. You can't argue about that. It's like, no, you can't. That, I'm sorry to tell you that, no, you're confusing. You're confusing your mind labor energy, which is we call industrial energy. You get your basic needs met from the sun. Then you take your mind and you build a tool, and that's industrial energy. And you take that industrial energy and you build solar panels, and you build wind generators, and you build water distilleries, and you build schools, or not even schools, you build computers so people don't have to travel. And you get lighting sources so people have a better quality of life around the world. And you make sure every human being has their need, but you base it on the energy units a human being has for basic needs met. Then you allow the subjective numbers to come in, and you've accomplished exactly what you're trying to accomplish. You are going to deflate the dollar. You're going to give a better quality of life to every human being possible. And you've done it. You've set it up. But you need, I believe, and this is my personal belief, maybe I'm terribly wrong. I believe that you have to have an objective number first. And then you allow the free market, the true free market, to take effect. And that's where you're coming from. And I'm agreeing with you. But you got to get the objective number nailed down so nobody can say to you, by the way, tomorrow the sun isn't coming up. Wait a second. It's going to come up. I can pretty much, I'm not going to say it's absolute, but it looks to me like it's absolute. So, you know, and you can't, and I can't blame you, or I can't blame other people who can't understand this concept, because we've been brought up not to understand a concept like this. We are saying to like so. I'm just no the change has to come about by exactly what you're doing, planting seeds, and I really think that's a great thing. I would never say. I'm agreeing with you 100%. That's why you're a humanitarian thinker, and I think that's a great thing. Well, the reason why we do bridges programming is we try to bring the gap and say, okay, we know that the economic system is flawed. We know that we have a problem with, and both Republicans and Democrats agree that the economic system is flawed. I'll go to the next thing with these guys. And if you don't believe that there's global warming, that's your privilege. I have no problem with that. That's what you believe. I can't change that belief system. But you can come together with me and say, how much is it costing your kid to go to school the next year? Do you think he should or she should have a good education? And suppose they want to be a doctor. Do you have $200,000 or $300,000 to put them through school? Well, that's wrong. Okay, we agree with you on that. By the way, I don't believe you can be environmentally sound unless you're economically stable. I don't know if that's my quote or I heard it somewhere else, but we need to be economically sound. Pardon me? Yeah. No, but I go ahead. Okay, I want to. Hey, Jim, thank you very much. We're coming out of this thing, and this is the energy song. Thank you, Jim, and look at jimbell.org. Thanks. .com, jimbell.com.
Try to take it off. No, it's